Void Mage Gamer is now partnered with Flipside Gaming, so you can use the promo code on their website, all caps, Void Mage, to get 10% off all orders $10 or more. It's a great way that you can support both Flipside Gaming and Void Mage Gamer's channel. Hello guys, welcome back to another top 10 commander video. This time it's going to be of my picks for the top 10 5-color commander options. With 5 colors you have a lot more options, you have a lot of them. While they don't always offer the most diverse playstyles, you usually have some kind of common synergy with getting some kind of advantage, whether it be cost reduction, a tribal theme. I've never really found 5-color commanders to be that unique because they kind of share the same mold of just value or tribal synergies, and having a commander that's just a value engine, it's fine, but it's not super creative. It doesn't really get the commander juices flowing. So let's start it off here with the honorable mentions, and there are a few. Personal favorite of mine in 5 colors is Corona False God. I just like the consequence of having to give her to your opponents. Doesn't always work out for you, but that's kind of the random thing that I like to do. In group hug decks, chaos decks, it's pretty cool. Whenever Corona attacks, creatures of the type of your choice get +3/+3 until end of turn. So if you have a tribal synergy, your opponents have a tribal synergy, they can give a whole lot of their creatures +3/+3 until end of turn. Or you could just use it on Avatar and make Corona an 8/8. Horde of Notions, really underrated commander option if you want to build elemental tribal. However, I just don't really think Horde of Notions is that strong. Recursion is nice though, it's pretty decent. You have some decent keywords here. I just wish there was a little bit more here, and with the new Omnath commander option, it doesn't seem like we're going to have too many 5-color elemental synergies. And then of course Scion of the Dragon. Before the actual Dragon, this was the 5-color dragon commander to go with. Really sweet toolbox style commander where you just search up whatever dragon you really need. Make Scion that kind of dragon. Can help you out in so many different situations. It really makes you think about how you build your deck too. And I love commanders like this where you don't just want to throw in a dragon because it's a dragon, you want to throw it in because it might have death touch or hexproof or some sweet ability that you need at a certain moment. So let's get into the list here. Number 10 is Gollum Pilgrim. New one from M20. Not super creative. I mentioned in previous videos going over M20. This is kind of the style of 5-color commander options we can expect. Good value engines, but not really much of anything else specifically. You don't have a specific theme that goes beyond the value. You do have lands though. You could just go with a land theme, so take advantage of the ability to search whatever land you want to, and you could go for a strategy like Maze's End, which seems to be a pretty common way to build this deck now. You could just get any good land though, a Gaia's Cradle. You could also get a Dark Depths for I don't know. But yeah, a pretty decent commander option if you just want to build a land strategy in 5 colors, because you can kind of throw in whatever you want. You can throw in Tatiova, get yourself some more card draw. You could throw in Omnath Locus of Rage, get some elementals in there. Throw in the Gitrog monster. Whatever land strategy you liked before, you can kind of just jam it all into one deck. Number 9 is General Tesserae. I'm just going to come out and say the ally theme is kind of weak. We don't have too much to choose from. We only had 2 Zendikar blocks and not a whole bunch of ally support outside of that. But General Tesserae is pretty cool for another reason, because she's one of the most powerful competitive EDH commander options. You're going to see this a lot if you do play competitive EDH. Food Chain is a big win con. Generate infinite ETBs with General Tesserae. So in terms of actual power, if you wanted to build a competitive EDH deck, she may just be the most powerful commander on this whole list. But if you're just building for casual EDH, the ally theme can be kind of fun. But it's relatively weaker now compared to other tribal synergies. Number 8 is Reaper King, the death metal album. This guy just looks disgusting, but he's pretty cool. Throw in a bunch of changelings into your deck if you don't have that many scarecrows, and let's be honest, there aren't too many good ones, but scarecrows entering the battlefield, you get to destroy permanents. It's pretty good, and there's a lot of ways to abuse that. Rite of Replication on Reaper King, you get a ton of value. All of those Reaper King triggers, yes, they're gonna die because of the legendary rule, but you should also get a whole bunch of triggers to destroy a whole bunch of permanents. It's one of those commanders, kind of like Omnath Locus of Rage and Vela the Nightclad, where you can abuse ways of getting multiple copies of the same creature to get way more triggers than you probably should be able to. Something like Blade of Selves is also useful because of this little trick. Really sweet commander option. I wish we had more scarecrows, but if you're looking for an obscure, out there 5-color commander that's actually pretty cool and very dominant if you decide to build around the clone strategy, because it does afford you more triggers and you can really just blow up a whole bunch of stuff. Number 7 is Nagila the Blade Blossom. You have things like Druid's Repository, Nature's Will, Bear Umbra. You can keep paying the mana for her ability and go off. Usually that's going to win you the game. But if you're looking for, again, another 5-color tribal commander deck, it's going to allow you to fit in a lot of stuff. Nagila's pretty good, but it kind of falls into that category that I mentioned before, where you just have a 5-color good stuff commander for a certain tribe. Her strength is obviously being able to combo, but it doesn't really hurt that you get a lot of token value off of her, so she could be a pretty cool token deck. Focusing on a warrior token tribal could be a way to go. I think her biggest strength is being able to combo, though. Other than that, she does kind of follow the trend of 5-color tribal. Number 6 is the first Sliver. Really no other Sliver I think makes a better commander option. I think for a lot of people, Sliver Overlord was considered the best Sliver commander for a while. Being able to tutor up whatever you needed was so powerful for just 3 mana. However, being able to cascade into multiple Slivers is super efficient, and you can still play whatever you did in those other Sliver decks. Nothing really changes, you're just adding more good stuff to the same strategy. A lot of people hate Slivers because they're probably the best tribal in terms of overall power. They all pretty much do the same thing, where every Sliver gains a certain keyword, or +1/+1, or some kind of busted ability, and it can be really difficult to deal with a whole wall of Slivers that have a ton of keywords. And in a whole turn, just imagining the value you can get off the first Sliver compared to the other Sliver commander options, I think is quite amazing. So while Sliver Overlord gives you that precision of tutoring exactly the Sliver that you want, the first Sliver does actually speed up the deck. And I think a lot of people are going to go for that speed. Number 5 is the Dragon. Yeah, technically I wouldn't say it's more powerful than the first Sliver or even some of the other ones that preceded it on this list, but I like encouraging decks that I think are genuinely good and fun. Doesn't have to be combo oriented, doesn't have to win the game as quickly as possible. I think if you have a good solid deck here, and what you have is a solid tribal, the Eminence here is just cost reduction for your dragons, and that's really cool. Doesn't even have to be on the field to give you that cost reduction. And when you do have the Dragon in play, you're then able to draw more cards, cheat more dragons into play, and that is a really good way of speeding up your deck. Dragons tend to be pretty powerful creatures if you're able to build a tribe around them. I highly recommend it. A big problem with dragons, I would say, is how linear it is. Huge benefit to playing dragons, though, is that they don't get steamrolled that often. And previous dragon decks like Scion of the Dragon have been kind of slow. The Dragon does actually speed things up a bit. Number 4 is Morophon the Boundless. I've been looking forward to a commander like this because I'm a huge fan of Mistform Ultimus. Being able to play that kind of style with all 5 colors at your disposal. If you're looking for Freedom the Commander, here you go. You can do whatever tribal you want to. It doesn't even have to be a specific tribal. You can incorporate multiple things. If you want to go with dragons, you can do that. It could just be Changeling tribal with whatever is the most convenient. You can throw in something like Reaper King to take advantage of that tribal synergy. You could throw in the first Sliver to get more cascades. Being in 5 colors means that literally whatever tribal you want to do, or combination of tribal synergies, you can do that. It could be Horde of Notions, Nagila, General Tesserae. I think the biggest question mark here is exactly what works out the best, and sometimes it's a good thing if you don't know exactly what to do because it allows you to be creative. Maybe not copying a deck card for card is actually a good thing. So get those creative juices flowing, keep brewing with this commander. I really think Morophon is a pretty well designed one. Doesn't seem too powerful, but the cost reduction is an added benefit to a lot of those commanders I just mentioned. A lot of sweet interactions with 5 color cost reduction, just a ton of possibilities here. And number 3 is NIV Mazetti Reborn. If you're talking about the ultimate 5 color control deck commander, I really think NIV Mazetti is the way to go. The biggest problem running into playing control is running out of gas, either because you didn't play enough cantrips or you just don't really have any engine that can replenish your hand. hand. NIV Mazetti fixes that by letting you look at the top 10 cards of your library and adding one card into your hand for each color pair combination, so pretty much just the guild theme in a commander. So if you have an Azorius card, you get to add that to your hand. A Rakdos one, you can add that to your hand. And the way I would recommend playing this is to throw in a lot of those good control cards, whether it be card draw, tutors like Eladamri's Call, something like Rakdos Charm if you want more versatility. You have Anguished Unmaking, a lot of 2-color spells that are just super powerful when it comes to removal. And getting to look at the top 10 of your library, that's huge. You can add a bunch of cards back into your hand. And since this is on ETB, you could also incorporate some kind of blink strategy. Exile NIV Mazetti, have him return, get more value. It can actually be a pretty busted deck. If there's any problem I see here, it's not being able to do much outside of just having NIV Mazetti on the field. So it comes down to exactly how do you want to win with this type of commander, because you have a really good engine here and a theme around the guilds that I really fell in love with. And number 2 is Jodha, Archmage Eternal. Now when it comes to cost reduction, we have something that specifically states it costs this much mana less. I think I mentioned with Morphon that if you have cool interactions with cost reduction, you can really abuse that commander. With Jodha, you can just take advantage of whatever's really expensive by making it only cost that 5 mana, one of each color. So something that costs you 12 mana, like an Eldrazi, only costs you that 5. It's cost reduction without really stating it's cost reduction. I think it's a really sweet trade-off here. You are playing 5 colors. It's rather inconvenient for a lot of people, so why not make it easier to cast certain spells? So long as you're able to assemble that 5 mana, you should be good to go. And I think Jodha really helps us embrace what's really cool about Commander, and that's playing super expensive spells you probably wouldn't see anywhere else. Something like In Garrick's Wake. Did it see any standard play? I don't think so. Really expensive cards that you're probably not going to see anywhere else are seen in Commander because of awesome Commander options like this. So yes, Jodha's up there for me. And then we have number 1. In terms of power, in terms of just ability, what you can do with this commander, it's quite crazy in 5 colors. Also encouraging you to play a variety of spells. Ramos Dragon Engine. Whether you want to go more competitive or more casual, it seems to work out well with Ramos. You want to go with a proliferate strategy, a planeswalker strategy, go for that. You could also benefit out of cascading by getting even more counters on Ramos, and being able to remove those counters to add a bunch of mana rewards you, allows you to keep your turn going. And it's well designed by only allowing you to do that once on your turn, so while you can most certainly find a way to combo around Ramos, if your deck is busted, it's usually because you found another way outside of him. It was very difficult making this list, guys, because my way of thinking was 5 color commanders either did one or two things. They're either tribal synergies or huge value engines. Ramos has flexibility, also has more power than something like Golos, and it generates a whole bunch of value by giving you really all the mana you need. If you're looking for a good stuff 5 color commander, it's really hard for me to say there's a better option than Ramos, because he really is the best option. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this top 10 list of my picks for the top 10 best 5 color commander options in the format. Hopefully we get more 3 color ones, because I would like to explore those, do those more often. I do a lot of Redux videos because we just get more sets, we get more cards to fool around with, so hopefully in the future I get to do some of those. You guys have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next video.